Hey friends, and welcome to week number 5. So this week, we just have one due date. There's nothing in the interim. However, this is really an opportunity for us to get kind of caught up and ready to write essay number 2. If you haven't gotten your scholarly articles in, annotations for your scholarly studies for essay 2 from week 4, we need to get that done before we can move on. Without that, it's almost impossible to do this week's work on essay 2, okay? So if you haven't done that, get back to week 4, get those in ASAP. I'll try to get you feedback as soon as possible so that you can kind of move forward here. All right. Let's go ahead and dig into our work here. Number 1, essay 1, reflection, okay? There's a quick video here on how to view feedback, okay? It'll show you the different kinds of feedback I'll give on essays and sort of how to view them in D2L. If you know how to view feedback in D2L, watch this anyway because I use some specific tools in D2L and this will just show you how to get to those, all right? Now, what do I want you to do in terms of reflection? Last week, back in week 4, let's go back to week 4 real quick, okay? You had this essay 1 reflection. Okay, and if you click that link, it opened a new tab which said, do you want to make a copy of the 102 game plan document? And that document looks like this. Last week, I asked you guys to identify the strengths and weaknesses in your first essay. Okay, now, if you haven't done that yet, just do that right now. Okay, open this document up. Look back at your essay 1. What do you think your strengths were? What do you think your weaknesses were? Once I've released feedback on essay 1, and that should happen within the next day or 2, okay? So probably by Friday evening, let's say, you should have feedback on these essays. I want you to go in here and add to your strengths and weaknesses list based upon the feedback I gave you. That might be feedback from the inline in-text feedback. That might be from the rubric. Where did you do well? Where didn't you do well? Okay? If you and I lined up on our understandings of your strengths and weaknesses, great. Just add whatever you need to them. If you think you did well on something and I said you didn't do well on it, maybe you're gonna, put a strikeout on the strength side and add it to the weakness side. Okay? So I just want you to add to your strengths and weaknesses. And once you've done that, come down here to the essay 1 reflection area. The essay 1 reflection area. Let me get back there. Okay, so right here, what I want you to do is type a paragraph or 2 in of legitimate reflection, okay? Think through, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about how you did on it? But also then, do you feel like you've got a good grasp on what you need to do with essay 2? Do you feel like you and I are on the same page as to where your strengths and weaknesses lie? And if not, where are those differences and what should we do about them? I'm going to note, I can't see this. You guys made a copy of this last week. So this is yours. It's not shared with me. I can't see it. If you want to share it with me, you're more than welcome to. Okay. So if I want to get back to week 5 here. In week 5, if you already made the copy of that file last week, it's in your Google Drive. Just go to drive.google.com, open it back up. Okay, you'll see it there. If you didn't do this last week, go do it first. Then look at your feedback on the essay, and then do the second part, okay? So that's this week's work for reflection. Now, research discussion. Again, this actually takes you to the discussion board, but I gave everyone a group assignment, and I sent you a group document that looks something like this. A lot of these are not filled in yet. There are only 3 groups, okay, first and foremost. Each of you has got 5-ish, 6-ish people in your group. What I want you to do, again, let's highlight the differences between Fowler and Peter's study. What we're going to do actually is mimic the work that we're going to do with our own scholarly essays for essay 2. Okay, so add 2 or 3 differences that might impact the outcome, that might impact the reason they disagree. Then file, email collaborators, and it will bring up a list of all the people in your group. You can write them a message, say, hey friends, I added a couple things. Can you guys jump in the next day or 2 and add some as well? Anything you can do to kind of push your group engaging in this is going to make it easier for you guys to have a legitimate discussion. All right? So that's what we need to do there. Then, 2 more assignments this week. Number 1, scholarly article analysis. Our ultimate goal is for you to be able to create a grid that looks like this, okay? Instead of the diet soda articles, this is a sample using those diet soda studies. you're going to put your own 2 scholarly articles in there. This is why I said, if you have not found the scholarly studies for Essay 2, you need to do so first, because our prime work this week is actually digging into those studies and trying to understand what they found and how they found it. Okay? What you will do, take the citation from the annotation you wrote, put it on one side, put your other article on the other side, and then we're going to go through and look for currency, authority, study population, study design, bias, and what we learned from the source. Okay, and I try to give you some additional questions under here that you probably want to answer. Now, we go back to week 5 here. What you'll see, okay, is this whole folder actually kind of walks you through how to do this. Here's the blank template that you can download, and here's where you submit that template, okay? Sample, blank, where you turn it in. There are 3 web pages here that I've put together that talk about how to understand study design, authorial background and conflict, and then the journal background, which is going to help you answer sort of the middle 3 questions on that grid about authority, bias, those sorts of things, okay? And so I have some links here. Please read through them. Read through all the links. They're going to help you do things like understand what kind of a study it is we're looking at. That's something I'm going to want to see, okay? The difference in what we can say after doing a longitudinal observational cohort study versus a randomized control trial is really big, okay? This link will explain that. They'll talk about the study population. Again, this will take you to that sample grid. So what I want you to do this week is to go through all 3 of these pages, download this template, put your articles, your studies in there, and then start working to fill that in, submitting it by next Thursday, okay? Finally, proposal, also due next Thursday, okay? There's a blank template here. Again, to download, this just kind of puts it into memo format. It helps me see this. It also helps you to say, okay, here's the question these 2 studies are trying to answer. Here's why it matters. This is going to give you a little bit of context for you to be able to talk in your introduction, okay? And then the parameters. What is it that we're looking at? What does each study find? What are the differences, and what is your goal in the papers? Ultimately, to figure out what the takeaway here is. So you can see my final sentence here really matters. My hope is that I can figure out why the 2 articles seem to disagree on the key question of whether diet soda helps or hurts. Okay, so it's just one more opportunity for me to give you some feedback as you're working your way through towards essay number 2. All right, that's everything we've got for this week. Okay, again, if you haven't gotten those articles in, you've got time to catch up, but we do need to move on that as quickly as possible. If you've got questions, if there's anything I can do to help you along the way, please do not hesitate to let me know. Thanks. Have a good day.